There was a time when love meant something else. It wasn't about double text, stories viewed, or how fast someone replied. It wasn't about soft launches or matching aesthetics. It wasn't even about getting what you wanted. It was about giving, showing up, enduring, choosing. Love used to be a verb, more action than feeling. It meant patience when things got hard, loyalty when things got boring, forgiveness when things got messy, and selflessness when it didn't serve you. Somewhere along the way, we lost that. We replaced it with performance, with images, with carefully curated illusions of intimacy. We learned to love like consumers. What can I get? How do they make me feel? What value do they add? We date like we scroll, fast, bored, endlessly dissatisfied. We confuse desire with depth. We think compatibility is a vibe. We think a spark means something real. But we forgot the oldest truth of love. It isn't about what you feel, it's about what you give. Nietzsche once said, "It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages." He understood that romantic love burns fast and dies young unless it's grounded in something stronger, respect, understanding, shared values. And he warned us, if we don't understand the weight of love, we'll reduce it to a craving, a hunger, a way to fill our loneliness instead of a way to connect beyond ourselves. This video is about forgetting and how we find our way back. Back to love that doesn't need an audience. Back to love that doesn't demand a return. Back to love that is real because it gives without needing to take. We'll look at what broke it, how to rebuild it, and how to love again like we used to, only better. Because something changed when we stopped seeing people as people. We started seeing them as content, as updates, as aesthetic partners, as emotional providers. We fell in love with potential, with projections, with pictures on feeds. We learned to present our best selves and hide the parts that make us real. And then we wondered why it all felt empty. You can't build love on illusion. You can't form real connection through filters. You can't create intimacy while pretending. But that's what we were taught. Be desirable, be wanted, be high value. We were taught to love in order to be loved back. And that's the problem. Because when love becomes a trade, it loses its power. When it becomes a way to win, it loses its soul. Nietzsche believed that love was not for the faint-hearted, that to love truly is to face yourself, your insecurities, your expectations, your need to control. He said, "There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness." We've embraced the madness, but we've forgotten the reason. Real love is not chaotic. It's not unstable, it's not dramatic, it's a decision. A decision to show up without needing to be impressed. A decision to stay when the novelty fades. A decision to give without keeping score. And that kind of love isn't popular. It doesn't trend, it doesn't go viral, it doesn't sell, because it's quiet, it's steady, it's real, and we've forgotten how to do it. But we can remember. We just have to be willing to unlearn everything that broke it in the first place. We have to stop measuring love by how much attention we get and start measuring it by how much care we give when no one's watching. We have to stop chasing chemistry and start building connection. Because love is not found in the rush of validation. It's built in the slow, steady moments when two people choose each other, not for how they make each other look, but for how they make each other feel safe to be themselves. Love is found in the apology, in the patience, in the unglamorous choosing, in the silence that doesn't need to be filled, in the vulnerability that doesn't need to be edited, in the presence that doesn't need to be posted. It's not new, it's old, maybe even ancient. But if we can remember it, we might finally get to experience something we've been starving for all along, something real. And that starts with a question. What version of love have you been taught to expect? Is it transactional? Is it conditional? Is it based on how much you can perform, provide, impress? Because if it is, then no wonder it never feels like enough. We are aching for love, but most of us are only chasing validation. We're showing up in relationships trying to be chosen, without ever asking if we're truly known. Real love doesn't start when someone picks you. It starts when you stop abandoning yourself to earn it. Nietzsche would say that to love deeply is to will the good of the other, even at the cost of your own ego. That to love is to risk, to expose your softest parts, to let go of power plays and pride. And we can't do that if we're still playing by the rules of performance. So maybe we don't need more strategies. Maybe we just need more sincerity, more honesty when things get hard, more empathy when someone flinches, more courage to be the first to show up real. That's how we begin again. That's how we start to remember. We remember that love isn't always lightning. Sometimes it's a candle, quiet, consistent, something you protect, not chase. We remember that love isn't about being impressive. It's about being present. We remember that love is not owed, but it is offered, freely, fully, without the constant need to evaluate its worth. And most of all, we remember that real love, true love, asks you to see someone not as a highlight reel, but as a whole human, flawed, complex, changing. Because love that lasts doesn't need perfection. It just needs two people willing to keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, even when no one else is watching. Because when you strip away the noise, what's left is what matters. Not the curated persona, not the filtered story, not the algorithm-approved version of love. What's left is the truth. Two people doing the hard, unglamorous work of care. And care is slow. It doesn't shout. It doesn't sell. It's not impressive on a feed, but it shows up. In the check-ins when you're tired. In the forgiveness when someone forgets. In the way you learn each other's fears and don't use them against each other. Real love is found in the quiet repetitions of trust. It's in the ordinary, the daily, the imperfect. And maybe that's why we forget it, because we were taught to chase sparks, not warmth. But warmth is what stays. Warmth is what holds you. Warmth is what lasts. And when we finally remember that, when we relearn how to show up, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, we begin to rebuild something sacred. Not just a better relationship, a better capacity to love. Because when you love well, you don't just change your partner, you change yourself. You become more patient, more present, more resilient. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop chasing novelty. You stop asking, what do I get from this? And start asking, what can I give to it? And slowly, something shifts. You feel safer in your own skin. You feel proud of how you show up. You feel peace, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally know what love is supposed to feel like. Safe, seen, shared, not as a performance, but as a practice worth remembering. But love, real love, doesn't stop at romance. The love we've forgotten is bigger than that. It shows up in friendship, in family, in the way we treat people we can't gain anything from. The old ways of love weren't transactional because they weren't rushed. They were grown, tested, forged. They were about character, not chemistry. Today, we abandon people too quickly. One flaw, one hard moment, and we ghost. We unmatch. We label them toxic and move on. But love isn't about perfection. It's about staying power. About growth, about saying, I see all of you and I'm still here. We forgot how to love because we stopped being taught how to hold space for someone else's imperfections. And worse, we stopped being taught how to hold space for our own. But the path back is possible. It starts with small acts, not declarations, not drama, but steady, human effort. Choosing to listen instead of interrupt, choosing to stay instead of scroll, choosing to care even when it's not convenient. Because in the end, the love we long for isn't a fantasy. It's a return to something older, something truer, something that was never gone, just forgotten. And the truth is, we don't just forget how to love others, we forget how to love ourselves in the process. We criticize ourselves for needing too much, feeling too deeply, giving too easily. We hold our hearts like problems to fix instead of truths to honor. But self-love is the root, the one that makes everything else grow. Because when you love yourself well, you stop begging others to do it for you. You don't chase what harms you. You don't settle for the bare minimum. You don't silence your voice to keep the peace. You learn to sit with your loneliness without letting it choose your lovers. You learn to wait, not out of fear, but out of faith. That kind of love isn't soft, it's strong. It says, I will not abandon myself just to feel less alone. And when you love like that, when you return to yourself first, you make space to love others without losing your center. That's when love becomes what it was always meant to be. Not a performance, not a transaction, not a distraction, but a quiet revolution, a return to something human, something whole. And maybe that's the point we missed in all the noise. Love isn't about finding someone to complete you. It's about finding the courage to stand whole and then choosing to share that wholeness with someone else. Because the best kind of love doesn't rescue. It respects. It doesn't fix. It holds space. It doesn't control. It collaborates. And when two people bring that kind of love, honest, grounded, unperformed, they don't just feel connected. They become free. Free to grow. Free to be flawed. Free to stay. And freedom, when it's shared with care, becomes the safest home we'll ever know. So if you're still searching, good. It means you haven't settled for imitation. It means your heart still remembers something older than algorithms. And maybe that's the beginning. Not of the kind of love you've seen online, but of the kind of love that doesn't need to be seen at all. Love that grows in silence. Love that gives without asking. Love that stays. That's what we forgot. But now, we remember. And remembering is only the start. Because love isn't something you feel once and keep forever. It's something you choose again and again, in moments when it would be easier to shut down, scroll away, or walk out. The real revolution isn't in finding the right person. It's in becoming someone who knows how to love, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's unreturned, even when it's quiet. So if you want to change the world, start here. Love like it's sacred. Love like it's ordinary. Love like it matters. Just one act, just one word, just one moment at a time. Because in a world that forgot how to love, you can be the one who remembers. And if you're serious about understanding yourself and the world more deeply, subscribe. Because this journey isn't over, it's only just begun. Lastly, let me be your reminder that you can and will do what you set your mind to. Be safe out there.